Okay, everybody, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino, Monday, April 29th, 2024. Post-market wrap-up. Breaking news right now. The U.S. Treasury is going to borrow from who? 243 billion in Q2. This comes in higher than forecast, but it gets better than this. The Treasury also announced it expects to borrow another 847 billion in the third quarter. That's over $1 trillion. The U.S. Treasury expects to borrow over $1 trillion in the second and the third quarters here of this fiscal year. What does that mean? Well, first of all, borrow from who? A myriad of different places. If you look up how the Treasury finances itself, a lot of this is foreigners. Foreigners buy U.S. debt. Okay, of course it goes on your back as well. It's borrowed from you. Mostly it's borrowed from you out of the future. How does that work? You see, the national debt is going to explode even further. And what is that? I mean, just think about what we're talking about here. We're talking about over $1 trillion in this Q2 and Q3, just created out of nothing because we don't have the cash. Now, this is obviously currency negative, purchasing power negative. You can't make this up. It's impossible to do. Now, what do we know is going on here? I'll tell you another reason why this is happening, and you probably already know. The Federal Reserve is already buying back debt from the Treasury. We're bankrupt. We are absolutely beyond bankrupt and then some. So if you, my lovely friends, are not taking action against this, you're done too. Just as much as whatever's left of this, the fragments that are left of this nation of ours here, and the world. Thanks, Mitch. It's just over. I don't know another way to put this. It's just over. This is not going to stop, as you and me have called since time immemorial. Debts and deficits ballooning out of control. You think this is honestly still just a comedy of errors? Honestly, let me know what you think about this. This is incredible. So again, just a reminder: U.S. Treasury to borrow 243 billion Q2 and another 847 billion in the third quarter, and the Fed's going to buy it all back, and they could not be happier to do it. You understand how the Fed works, right? They want to be, in fact, they're foaming. The foam that is coming out of the mouths, the drool that's coming out of the mouths of Federal Reserve presidents and chairmen and governors and all of them right now. Oh yeah, we got them right where we want, right by the throat and by the balls. Okay, I can't say that word, but that's where they got you. Okay, you're done. They have fulfilled their end game. They are the lenders and buyers of last resort. They are the government. And guess what? We freaking lose, period. So just keep taking action here. Okay, betting against the debt, becoming your own central bank, it's not going to stop. So, I mean, it's just so disgusting to me, honestly. Now, let us move forward here. What I really wanted to talk about. This is just a few weeks ago, where we were warned. I wrote all over this. We'll go over that in just a moment. Jeffrey, thank you. So prior to this most recent bank failure, Powell, there will be bank failures. Now, I want you to pay attention to this next part. And we haven't even gotten here yet. And we've kind of, sketched this out a little bit, but we're gonna face a beautiful moment in time here. So Powell says there will be bank failures because of this commercial real estate issue that we haven't even begun to see yet. But you see, let's just pull all this aside for a moment. What did I even write down here? It's obviously a crisis of liquidity, a crisis of debt, and we're going to see a lot more borrowing into the future, from the future into the now, vastly inflating debt. All the stuff that you and I have been talking about, it's just not going to stop. Okay, but you see, let me ask you. Okay, we have the Federal Reserve, and then you have banking regulators who are supposed to be overseeing the issues with the regional banks, which are going to bleed off. Let me explain this to you maybe another way. There is no doubt in my mind at all that a major Wall Street bank, at least one, is going to fail. My call on this is more than likely, and it could be another one, but if you just do your own research and look at Bank of America, okay, their current situation, they're in dire shape. And all the banks, again, they're all underwater. They all operate in a vacuum, in a black hole. They are all insolvent. You understand? But they do have a main line to the Federal Reserve. I get that. Okay. But there will be a fall guy here. And they're going to allow one major institution to fail so they can say, guess what? We did something like they did last time with Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, and the token. Bear Stearns got absorbed, obviously, into JP Morgan. Most of you know that. They had to let Lehman fail so they could say, look, we allowed a bank to fail, one of the major institutions here. And then they all got bailed out, you and me. And, that's pretty much where we stand here. But you see, here's my question. The Federal Reserve and the banking regulators, why is it that, again, there is zero accountability? There's going to be more. Don't take my word for this. And I've been telling you this since I don't know how long. There will be more bank failures. The FDIC already knows there's hundreds of banks that are going to fail moving forward. You're not allowed to know that. Don't take my word for this either. Look it up for yourself. It's above your pay grade. We, the people who have our cash in these institutions, are not allowed to know which ones are going to fail. It's privileged information, and that should bother you. Privilege means some people are allowed to know, and believe me, they're getting their cash out. The multi-billionaires, the 1% and 2%ers, oh, they're getting out. Okay, but you and me, you're going to get a backhand across the face, and then you're going to say, thank you, can I have another? That's exactly the truth. But going back to what I was saying, no accountability. So this new most recent failure, Republic, okay, there's going to be more. Don't take my word for it. There's going to be more. And it's not just about commercial real estate. It's about bad bets that have been made by these institutions. And you already know what the grander picture here is. Obviously a consolidation of the system, power in fewer and fewer hands. Okay, that's because the new system, which is going to happen here, they're dismantling this one. This is part of it here. Unbelievable amounts of debt being piled on here. Federal Reserve more than willing to buy it all back. And in fact, that's what's going on right now. The Federal Reserve is buying back debt from the Treasury. You know this. We covered it recently, and it's not going to stop. $1 trillion in just the next 2 quarters. Over $1 trillion. Imagine my shock. Imagine your shock. You better take action, people. But anyway, as I was saying, there will be no accountability. The regulators will not be held to account. The Federal Reserve, who oversees all of this, including the regulators, they're not going to be held to account, you see, because they walk on water. The Federal Reserve can never, ever be made to look bad. They have to appear as they are on the side of angels. You understand? Because again, if confidence, notice the word I'm going to use, confidence. If confidence is lost, the system comes down. The system only functions because people are confident that it's going to continue to function. That's it. If it weren't for the belief that pieces of paper with numbers on them were real money, and they're not, it's not real money. You know that, but they tell you it is. You ask 99% of the people out there what's real money, they're going to take $1 out of their bill and out of their wallet, and you can laugh because that ain't real money. In no way, shape, or form is that real money. It's monopoly money. There's no difference. It really isn't. Anyway, so there will be no accountability here, and I probably wrote that down. Who will be held to account? Regulators, ? The Fed? No. You see, you're going to be held to account because you're going to bail. They're already talking about it. They're already talking about bail-ins, people. Get your cash out. Look, there's not another guy out here on YouTube who has been telling you for a longer period of time than this guy to get your cash out. Mitch knows what I'm talking about. Get your cash out of these institutions. Keep only what you need. Again, we, you and me, are forced, everybody here, we are forced to participate in their system. We can't sidestep it. Again, our loving, caring representatives, they don't want you in gold. 99% of them don't want you in gold. They don't want you in silver. They don't want you in Bitcoin. They don't want you sidestepping the Federal Reserve in any way. You must be in a Federal Reserve note. That should tell you something. It's not yours. You work for the privilege to borrow that cash from the Fed for which you owe back. Plus interest they create out of nothing. Could you imagine? This is the scam of it's not the scam of the century. This is the scam since the beginning of time. There has not been a bigger scam than this one here. But that's the truth here. What this boils down to, again, why is it? Let's get on the same page. Why is this happening? Why is $1 trillion in the next 2 quarters going to be pulled into existence out of nothing? Because we are in a full-blown, full-on liquidity crisis. Does that sound familiar to you? Debt crisis, liquidity crisis, one and the same. This guy's been warning about this forever now, and now you're actually seeing it. It's incredible. Look, all you need is one functioning brain cell to understand. Now, let's talk about this too. I've shown you this chart many times over the years. This is the Federal Reserve's repo program where they pass back vast amounts of cash back and forth between institutions overnight, tricking the system into believing it's more liquid. Okay, you get it? Debt liquidity. Now, look at this. And again, it continues to taper down and taper down. Now, just remember what I'm about to tell you, because most people would have no idea at all what I'm about to say. There is no coincidence, and we've spoken about this before, that this is being tapered down at the same time we're seeing war expand around the world. Billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions being funneled everywhere around the world to propagate war as a mechanism to pull liquidity into the system. That's all it is. Look, you and me, our lives don't mean nothing. We're not even worth a fraction of a cent. They'll kill all of us if they have to. Millions and millions of people to keep the system liquefied. Liquefied with our blood, with our guts, with our hopes, with our dreams. That's all this is. There is no coincidence here, and I'm going to tell you again that this is happening at the same time we are seeing war expand all over the place. Oh, there's also more calls for more cash to be funneled to Ukraine and, of course, Israel as well. And again, as we spoke about, these are just the next installments. It's going to go on top of the trillion. Now, we've been sold something else here, you and me. Turn on CNBC, Bloomberg, Fox Business, listen to President Imbecile that I can't even think about it without wanting to throw up, or any of our loving, caring representatives. They're telling you how strong our economy is. Literally a third, almost a third of working families here cannot cover. They're struggling right now to cover basic needs, and they are one emergency away from poverty. Does that sound like a booming economy to you? Certainly doesn't sound like that to me. And we are certainly not all rich. I mean, you can't make this stuff up if you try to. I want to bring something else to your attention. We all understand. And this is, it's no surprise to anybody that follows this blog. We're watching inflation surge, outpacing every single projection that we have been sold. We've been lied to over and over and over and over. And if you think it's going to stop, then again, either you're completely deluded or you have absolutely no clue. You need to maybe up your medication or something. It's not going to stop. The mechanism pulling cash into the now, the Treasury borrowing $1 trillion in the next 2 quarters, expansion of war, everything else is designed to destroy the global economy, take down the consumer, and inflate. Again, a central bank exists in only power, exists in their ability to inflate, number one. You see, why are we not told this? Let me ask you, Tyler, since we're talking right now, why is it, and thank you, by the way, why is it that you don't hear this at all from the mainstream media? Why can't they tell you? Why can't our representatives, even one running for president maybe, because a lot bigger voice than Greg Mannarino, come out and say, hey, guys, I have to let you in on a little secret here. A central bank's power resides in only one thing, and that is their ability to inflate. If we take that away, we win. Again, it would be very difficult for us to transition from the debt-based system to a wealth-based system. Absolutely would. There's no doubt about it. But we are going to suffer 1,000 times worse. Not only are we going to suffer 1,000 times worse, because they're collapsing their system by design, but they're creating more slaves to their system, dependency on the system. Sound familiar? You and I have been talking about this for years, people. And going back to this inflationary thing here with regard to what the Fed or central banks are going to do moving forward, we already got kind of a promise from the ECB that they're going to cut in June. Is the Fed going to cut in June? I'll tell you the truth. I really believed that this was a lock. But we may have to rethink that because they already have other avenues to inflate. I was thinking about this earlier today when I was actually looking at this chart. And again, I analyze this stuff all the time. I'm looking at this chart, the Fed's repo being tapered down. I'm watching war expand. What do you and I understand? There is no other endeavor on this earth that generates the need for more borrowed dollars than war. That is it. So there is their mechanism to continue to inflate for now. They really don't even need to do it. I was more or less convinced that they had to do it because they needed to inflate. That was a mechanism. But now that they have war in their back pocket, again, with billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions being sloshed around and more is coming, the Fed can wait here. So can the European Central Bank. They can wait now that war is raging and going to get a lot worse. They're going to cut rates at one point, whether it's June, July, September. In that, that's where I believe it's going to happen at one point here. But again, they got war. They got war, and war trumps everything. No pun intended. Anyway, so that's pretty much what I wanted to. Let's go over this just real quick because I want to hear from you, because a lot you're going to forget. Does this surprise you? And remember, the Fed's buying back the debt. It's an incredible situation here. We have been warned way before this. You and I called this out. Do you realize that? Before any of this started with the regional banks, you and I said it was going to happen, and it did. Nobody talked about it before you and me. And again, crisis of liquidity. Who's going to be held to account? Not the Fed, not the regulators. You are. Count on that. Anyway, and this one too. Nearly a third of the American people, working households, one emergency away from poverty. That is pathetic. That to me is not the definition of a booming economy at all. And I'm sure most of you would have to agree with me on that one here. All right. I know I've been taking a lot of slack lately again, and it's my own fault, and I admit it. Greg, you're not answering questions here, and I do apologize for that. And I will try to take some questions right now. But before we do that, let me thank you again for the thumbs up here. We're doing really good today. Thanks for your love and your support, your friendship. Is there anything you guys want to cover so I can say, hey, you know what? I tried to cover some questions here because Greg, you're not answering. I don't see the questions all the time. Believe me, I don't. It's, I kind of look at this camera over here and I kind of glance over here too. But anyway, Joseph, of course, by Anacott Steel. I'm all in on Anacott Steel. You know that. Blue Horseshoe loves Steel. Absolutely. All right, people, look, honestly, we are in the right spots as far as I'm concerned. With regard to the debt market, you're watching what they did today. We saw the 10-year yield fall, the dollar fall, the MMRI drop. It's like 302 last time I looked at it. I would not be surprised to see the MMRI drop from extreme risk, which we are now, into high risk, which is the next step down. Obviously, there's been some kind of intervention here to weaken the dollar on a relative strength basis. I think we expected that for the most part. And with regard to risk here, I still say they're going to prop this up for the selection cycle. I really do. Billy, Bitcoin to 100,000. I think that's an understatement in my view. Okay. I think it's going way higher than that, but that's just my take on it. And you know why? Debt market meltdown is going to happen. Pressure on the stock market. Cash is going to bleed out of the stock market. It's out of the debt market. It's going to bleed out of the stock market. It's going to go into commodities, which is going to skyrocket along with crypto, including Bitcoin. 10-year yield is going to go parabolic, and I mean that to on an epic. Look. There's a lot you can trade in and out of short-term debt here. I've talked about this before. If you wanted to do that, but again, by doing so, you're still losing purchasing power because you're not able to keep up with the actual rate of inflation, or even the ones that they even say that it's paying you nothing. So for a safe bet, yeah, but you might as well just stuff it under your mattress, I guess. I've talked about this many times. I know people who do that. They roll over into short-term debt. I personally think there's better places to put your cash to work. But in 2025, okay, there's another one. Things are sizing up to look very, very bad. They're bad right now. And if you think they're going to get any better, no matter who they put behind the resolute desk, you're being lied to. You're being deceived. It's not going to get better. The system it's already past the point of no return. It can't be brought back. You understand? It must. And Part of that is it's deliberately being dismantled. You can't reassemble the system the way it was. Can't be done. It is transitioning. We are in a transition period being brought about collectively by central banks, and war is a key component here. Exactly, Magic Mika. You're awesome. Be fearless. Do not look. I get called every name under the sun from time to time here. I'm a gloomer, I'm a doomer. But if you're afraid, that's where they want you to be. I want you to look at this stuff. Take a step back and say, what do I need to do about it? We're not going to get a revolution in this country. They're creating slaves to the system. They're creating dependency on the system. These people are not going to revolt against the system that's supporting them. Again, a third of working class families are one emergency away from poverty. These people are dependent probably on some kind of system. The people at the lower rung are 100% dependent. So that's where we stand. Understanding that, you and I have to take action. We can't sit back and do nothing. And that's really what we're doing here, betting against the debt, becoming our own central bank, staying in this market if you're so inclined, or getting out. I already told you, with risk the way it was, I would not blame anyone to get out of this market right now. It's a very bad situation, but debt is going to surge beyond your wildest dreams, and then some, and that's going to be enough to prop up the system even more. It's debt dependent. You understand? The system is 100% dependent on more debt being pulled into the system. Think about, look, this kind of stuff goes in one ear and out the other, but we're talking about 243 billion in Q2 and another 847 billion in the third quarter. These numbers are astronomical. You could take dollar bills, lay them on top of each other from here to the moon and back, and that's about $1 trillion. So that should tell you where we're at. You could probably put $100 bills to the moon and back and still not hit there. It's an incredible amount of money or cash that's being pulled into the system, and we are being destroyed. Yes, the 10-year is dropping. I mean, they're intervening. There is intervention here. Okay, who's buying the debt? I'm going to give you one guess. Who wants to buy the debt? I'm going to give you one guess. Who's foaming at the mouth all over the place from buying back debt from the Treasury, for issuing more debt? And it's the Federal Reserve. They're the government. They control everything. They control the media. They control the minds of men and women via the propaganda ministry, but not you and me. We're free thinkers, free thought, free action, free movement, period. They fear that. You have to understand. They fear free thinking more than anything else, because then you can think outside the box. If you're not thinking their way, you are a direct threat. I am amazed and astonished every day that I come out here and I see that my YouTube channel is still up, because I believe that you and me, are absolutely free thinkers here. We're not in the box. We are super out of the box. Anyway, that's where we're going to stay, people. I made you that promise from a long, long time ago, and I am more than willing to double down right now on my effort to keep you all ahead of the curve. All right, people, we are getting out of here for now. Thank you again for being here. I love all of you from the heart. Thank you for those thumbs up. But we got 1,772 people right now, 620 thumbs up. This should be 800 at least. So let's see if we can work on that, people. All right. When guitar, you see my amp over here? I'm actually going out three houses down for a little garage band we got going on over here. Yes, I am regressing in my old age, I suppose. We're gonna do a little. We're practicing. Let's see. We got "Smoke on the Water," "Rock and Roll Night" by Kiss, "Paranoid," Iron Man. What else we got over there? Green Day song. We got "It Smells Like Teen Spirit." Bunch of stuff we're doing. I'll make a recording of it and then I'll put it out at one point. All right. Look, this guy here loves you left from the heart. I mean that, people. I will see all of you in the morning. Until we see each other again, please take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Right. Share the video. Get it out there. Thanks for those thumbs up.